So first trade for me on the day was MYSZ. This was a pre-market mover. Go ahead and get into that. So right away off the bell, I'm looking for this VWAP break, and reason for that is you could see we had VWAP acting as resistance all over here. And I was looking for the break, push into 26s, see if we can pull back into the VWAP, and then get long over there for the move into 29, and then see if we can get 30s. So first ads on this one. We come down into here, we break over here, we come down into here, I get some 26s, 26.65, get my full size in right away, kind of a 5-minute flag setup, but not really, very low VPA. We get a pop into 27s, 28s, start peeling some off 27.3, start peeling more off 28.3, 28.6, 28.3, 27. And then ultimately we start like pulling back over here. And then once we break VWAP right here, I actually, put a bid out to get out of my full position. I got a pretty bad fill on it. I was filled 0.242. So kind of caught this majority of the move higher. And then, stopped out on the break of VWAP. That was my original risk. It should have been like 25 cents, but, I got a pretty bad fill on it. And then right into the open, I had noticed, we had this like quick 1-minute trend right here. You can see we had this lower point over here. We formed a lower point here. That's when I that's when I drew this trend line. Then, we start consolidating into the open. I'm like, okay, like something just told me, and I put it in the chat that I have with some of the guys, and I was just telling them, like, I don't know why. I feel like MYSZ is going to be the quiet one that's going to pop off the open. And there was many reasons for this. One, it was honestly sort of a gut feeling, but another one was nobody was mentioning it. It had this volume coming into the open and nobody was on it. No chat rooms, nobody on Twitter. So I'm like, okay, if this one is not crowded at all yet and there's no eyes on it, there's a higher chance that this thing may open up into the open. So right here on this candle in front of 26 cents, I get long at 26.2. Get my position in there and we just start ripping. We start putting in highs, take some off like right away into this candle. We get a quick pop into 29s. Start peeling some off 29, peeled more off 30 cents. We get another little extension into 31s over here, start peeling more off 31. Got a small piece off 32s. And then when we kind of went into 33s, this was actually a daily level right over here at 34 cents. I was like, all right, let me put a limit out for 35 cents right over here off this pivot to see if we get that quick extension through and, maybe start going and I catch a quick, limit sell at 20 or 35 cents. Ultimately, it didn't happen, and I start selling more off when we start coming down into 29s. Then that's when we formed this really nice 10-minute flag. I know Mikey was on it on the 5-minute flag. It kind of, delayed into a 10-minute flag. And so you could see, really high volume push, low VPA pullback into the 28 pivot over here. And that's where I actually got long some more. I started filling some more right over here into 29.5s. We would get these quick pops into 31, and that's where I was scaling most off. Got most of my position off into 31s. Yeah, 31, 31. Got some more off into 30 on the way down, and then ultimately I stopped my last piece right over here on the break of 28, and I got filled 27 cents on it. It was a smaller piece since, I already caught the big win from here. I was averaging up into this, got majority off into these pops in a 31. Then I took my last piece off on the break of this 28 pivot and got filled 27. So overall, pretty green trade. I was really happy with it. It was a nice 27%. So really, really cool over there. Next trade on the day for me was Rent. Rent was really nice. I actually played this one, I believe it was maybe 4 different times. So Rent right off the open on the 5-minute, we had a nice flag. Right over here, you could see high volume push, low VPA pullback into the 168 pivot, and this is where I got long. I got long right here at $1.70. So right here into this candle, I was expecting this 168 to bounce and then see, if we can push into new highs. You could see we got a nice pop into 179s. I didn't peel any off there. And once we gave out this 168 pivot, I'm like, all right, let's see if they, push it down just a little bit into 165, which would be in this area. Then let's see if they slurp it back up. Ultimately, they didn't, and we continued to flush, and I sold my remaining position at $1.62. So started my day off on this name Rent. started off red. Fast forward a little, and I'm still watching this name. I see, we start coming back up, form this downtrend line. And right over here, we break this downtrend line, get our retest. Then I'm like, all right, let this thing show me a little bit of strength. So we start coming up right here, and right when we put this bullish engulfing, and I believe it was on the 1 minute when we pull back, you can see we put this bullish engulfing, we come up here, then we start pulling back into our lower trend line, and this is where I get long at $1.76. I get long here, and right when I get long, you could see, we start pushing up higher. We push up right into here into $1.81, $1.80 area. Start peeling some off. 179, took my first piece off right in front of high a day. That's one of my biggest rules. And then we push through 180s, get more off 181, 182. So I'm scaling off into here. Then we come down into here, and I was like, okay, I'm willing to take the rest off, break even if we get down here. But if we don't, then let's see if we could start pushing up higher. Ultimately, we consolidate here, low VPA over here. Then we get that sharp rise, we base out, and then we push for higher highs. This is that one pattern. Forgot exactly what it's called, but I know Fizz has dropped it in the Goblin Gang before, where you kind of have that sharp move down, you base out, low VPA, U-shape recovery, base out, and then push for new highs. And that's kind of what I was looking for once we had this move over here, because we broke through these previous highs of 195. We started basing out on the 3 minute, and then that's when we started pushing for more highs. So right when we got this move and we started pushing higher, we get a nice move into 212s. Didn't take any off here, and then on this candle right here, because I had a trend line, I believe at the time it was something like this, right over here like that. Right when we break this 206, I get out of my full position at $2.01. So I was like, okay, cool. I caught majority of the move. Really, really nice. Let's move on. Later in the day, you could see we end up, U-shape recovering again. We break over the previous highs. We start basing out right here. And then we put in this nice kind of 5-minute flag look over here. And this is where I get long off the pivot. I get long $2.16. We get this nice pop into 220s. Take my first piece off 218. Take a little more off 219. We get a push into 220s, took more off $2.25 right into here. We get another push up into 234s. And then when we get this bearish engulfing right here, I take my remaining piece off at $2.18. So that was, I believe, my third trade on the name. By this time, I'm green on the name. I'm pretty happy on it. I'm pretty comfortable. I'm getting a feel for how it's trading and whatnot. Then fast forward, we have this little downtrend over here. And I was actually on chat with the guys, and I was telling them, like, hey, I'm looking for this downtrend break, see if we could base out over here, get the push into 222s, and then see if we can get that 250 daily pivot. You could see right here on the daily, we have that 243 pivot here, and then we have the 250 pivot here. And then, over that, we got like 265s, and then we can probably push up into 280s. That didn't happen, but we did get our 250 test. So on the tape, I remember, because I was on chat with them, I was telling them, all right, there's a lot of bidders coming up off this 206 daily level. You can see by these wicks, there's a lot of buyers stepping in here. So we get our little downtrend break. We start basing out right here. And right here on this retest of the downtrend line, I get long 212.5. So $2.12, 0.5, whatever you want to call it. And right when I do that, we get a little pop in the 215s. Take a small piece off 214 just to lock some in. Then we get a pop through 214, take another piece off 215, just because at the time we were kind of whippy. I'll show you it on the 1 minute, just so you guys get a feel for it. See, we're kind of consolidating here. We start coming down a little, so I'm like, all right, let me lock some in up here, 215, so I can kind of, mitigate some risk, and, if I do have to take the loss, it won't be anything crazy. So I take some off there, and then, we start trading sideways, and we form this nice 5-minute flag here. Very nice high volume push, low VPA pullback. To me, it was a 10-minute flag right over here. This is what I was looking at. Could see a high volume push, low VPA pullback, and right here, it was low VPA at the time, but buyers had stepped in and we got pushed into our 220 pivot, and that's where I was looking for the 222 test and then see if we can extend. So we get our 222 test, didn't take any off here. We get a parabolic rise into 230s. I take a small piece off 232. Then we get another move into 243s. I take another piece off at the daily 243 level, get filled 242. Didn't get any off up here. You could see it was like obviously, a quick rise and then a sharp drop. So I didn't get any filled over 243, but I did get some off 242. Then we start consolidating over here. And then ultimately when we give out this 228 pivot, I cut my remaining piece at $2.26 right into this candle. And then, into the close, we get this downtrend break and, we try putting in a 5-minute flag, but I didn't play that. So overall, a lot of really good trades on this name. It traded very, very well. A lot of opportunity. You can kind of see that, it was basically like a technical analysis play all over. Because, we had, our downtrend break here. Then we had our little, uptrend break. Kind of had an uptrend here. Didn't get long off this trend line. But it could have provided, great opportunities. So those, I believe, were my 4 different trades on rent. Really, really nice. I have a few things. Yeah, so that's one position on rent from 176. This is MYSZ. Where's the other one? This is one from 213 at the highs of 215. There's one more in here. Oh, that's my P&L for the day. Didn't want to show that, but there you go. So really nice trade there. Next trade on the day was PHVS. PHVS really, really nice. So I think I took a small L on this before I actually made a really nice chunk on it. Yeah, I did. So PHVS right here into the open. Yeah, I'm on the 5-minute. Okay. Let me just make my other chart bigger so I can see my orders. So right over here on this 5-minute flag, we get a nice pop into here. We start pulling back through our downtrend line, and on this retest right here, this is where I get long. I got long against the, I guess I'll do it on the 1-minute. I get long against this 466 area right off the trend line, kind of pre-market high area right over here, 462. I was looking for this pivot to hold. It was really more of a scalp. So I get long 466, start peeling some off immediately, 469, 469. Like I peeled most of my position off 469. And just because after I entered, I was looking at it, I'm like, there's really no setup right here. Like there's no reason I should be entering this. So right when I got in profits on this candle, I took majority of my position off. Then we get a flush right here into 457s, and then I cut my remaining piece at 457. So it was like a small, you could say break even, small green. But I wasn't done with this ticker. I decided to keep it on watch, and we ended up forming a really nice 5-minute flag. So right over here, we get this, kind of downtrend break, start retesting it. Kind of a 5-minute flag right here. You could see the high volume push, low VPA pullback, and then the stair step up on the VPA. And then right over here, this is what interested me. We were starting to pull into this 470 level and kind of testing it, and I was noticing on the tape there was a lot of bidders stepping up. And I remember telling them in the chat that we were in, hey, there's a lot of bidders here. I'm going to get long on this flag, and I'm going to see if we get that push into 5. So ultimately I get long some 463, get long some more 462, right into this candle right here on this pullback into our little lower trend line. Then we get a nice pop over here into 470s. I take some off 473. I take more off 481 on this pop into this candle over here. And then I had posted on my Twitter as well that I was looking for the $5 off this flag setup. And I'm sure everyone's seen what happened after. Out of nowhere, we just get this huge move into 578. We halt. It was a 15-minute halt. And then we open up here, 674, and I was literally waiting for it. As soon as we open up, I click sell on my full position at market, and I get filled $6.40 right in here. It did run more, but at the time, I wasn't even expecting this move. So right when we had the unhalt, I was honestly very excited at the time. A lot of emotion running through my body. I was really, really happy. Just caught a sick play, sick win. And so I just decided to sell my full position. And I got a nice fill at $6.40. So I think that was really, really cool. You could see later, it did extend, it did make some really nice moves higher, but it is what it is. I caught my move that I wanted. And since I wasn't even anticipating this move right here, I was going to take it. I'm not going to sit there and, be greedy about it in any way. Next trade on the day was MYSZ. And MYSZ was actually, people were saying this was a sympathy to SMMT. And because I didn't catch a position in SMMT, I was like, okay, let me see if I can get a position in MYSZ. So on MYSZ, right when SMMT halts, MYSZ breaks this downtrend right here and puts in this huge candle right here. As soon as we put in this candle, and you could see the VPA slowly stair-stepping up, as soon as we put in this candle right here, I got long. I got about half of my position filled at 78 cents even, started filling some more at 79, so I had about 78.5 average. And we get this parabolic pop into 83s right over here. I just started peeling. At this time, when this kind of move happened right here, SMMT had just unhalted and it started to push higher. Let me go to SMMT and actually show you where. So right over here, when SMMT unhalted, we started putting this leg in right here. And then that's when MYSZ started, pushing higher as well. So my mindset was, okay, this one probably won't last. The other name probably won't last too long either. Let me get in, let me get my profits, and let me get the hell out. So we start pushing into 83s, 84s, take some off 82, take some off 80, take some off 81, take more off 82s, take a small piece off into 83. And then ultimately on this candle right here, we kind of flush into 77. And as soon as this candle slurps back up into 82, I flatten my whole position and I get filled on my remaining piece at 82 cents. Overall, it did extend, and Dom in the chat, he played this nice 5-minute flag into $1. But I thought, hey, I caught a nice win on it. It wasn't even like a great setup, but because SMMT was pushing, that one decided to push with it. So, I'll take the win and I'll move on. So that was a nice trade over there. And then I believe that's it. Yeah, so that would be all my trades on the day. Overall, nice green day. Some solid setups. I think Rent was literally the greatest one. This one had opportunity all over. And this one right here, I actually went back to it after I had stopped out because I started to see it come up right here. And I was like, what the hell did we bounce off of? And then that's, later when I noticed this pivot right over here. This kind of 158, 160 area pivot. And so I feel like if I had noticed that in the morning, I would have been positioning myself off of that pivot because we kind of also held this pre-market resistance over here and we confirmed it as support. That's something I failed to notice. So something I got to do in the future is, try to look left more because I'm sure in the, open I only had it like this. So I got to zoom out, got to look left more. And, if I stuck with, this average down here of 169, 170, what was it exactly? It was 170. So if I stuck with that 170 average and caught this nice move into 230s, it would have been crazy. It would have been a beautiful gain, but overall I think I played it pretty well. When you say you see buyers on the tape, is there a certain amount of buyers you look for to give you conviction? When I see buyers on the tape on the bid side, I'm looking for them to chip away on the ask. So if you have your ask size is, let's say, 100, then you have your bid size of 120. That's obviously more buyers stepping in than more sellers trying to sell. And then not only that, you want to see the buyers start chipping away at the ask. So you want to see the ask go from, for our example, 100. You want to see it go from 100 to 90 to 80 to 50 to 40, to 20. Then ultimately the, ask steps out of the way and the bid moves up to cover that ask. And that's kind of how buyers walk the ask up. And that's how you start clearing these walls and pushing into new levels. And then same thing for sellers. If I see a big seller at, let's say, 212s and there's not enough buyers at 212s, the sellers will start selling into the bid and it will walk the bid down, and that will also bring the ask down because people are starting to sell lower, and that will, obviously make the price decline. I don't know if that kind of answers it for you, Jixerman. Let me know. Not really. So if I see, a good entry, like for example, where's one of my entries? So like right over here on this flag retest, I won't really I'll look for it at a key level. So for example, this level right here off the daily level 206, I seen a lot of bidders stepping in. And that's why when we broke this down trend line and gave some confirmation, I was comfortable entering. And then right up here, the tape started to get heavy. When we started putting this move in, you could have, obviously imagine if you're getting a move from 212 all the way to 250s, the ask is going to be, stacking up at resistance, and it's going to try to push the price down. And, when it's successful and you can clearly see that the people on the ask side that are trying to sell are slowly walking the bids down, then hey, it's kind of a warning sign and it's time to exit. Down here you could see the bids stacking, so as something gets cheaper you're going to see more buyers willing to come in and pay for it. And when that happens, that's the higher probability chance that you'll see the bidders start walking the ask up, walking the sellers up. And so that can kind of be a way to use it, but normally I don't really use it for entering or exiting. Sometimes I'll use it to see like a daily level or a pivot, for example. Like let's say right over here, you could clearly see buyers stepped in because of this wick. So if I was looking to get in a position off of this trend line, I might have looked over to the level 2 and I would have looked for bidders to step in. I would have wanted to see more bidders than sellers, and that would have told me, okay, there's other people willing to buy over here. This is probably a chance where price can pop. And then obviously it pops into here, and then looking at the chart, obviously sellers exhausted the buyers and sellers took over and made the price decline. It kind of sounds confusing. It's more of something that you can, like, once you learn it, you just see it and you start to understand it more and more. But I hope that kind of answers it for you.
Can you pull up RNAS again really quick?
Yes, sir.
Something else I wanted to bring up today in chat too, that something that I want to, like I was saying, I really want to make work on my entries and everything. Look at so I had the 87 7th level already on my level already leveled out, and I actually went back and looked at it. It's yesterday's pre-market high. So look, that's yesterday's pre-market high. It bounces perfectly off that, perfect BPA.
Yep.
That's worse. And if you pull it up on the 1 too, pull it up on the 1 really quick. Sorry, just
No, you're fine.
So one thing that I really want to do, and I think I kind of had this realization too, and it's really about entries are huge, right? And so if you were patient for this and waited for it to get down to that level, I mean, it literally touched that level once. If that's your entry, you're never ever red.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of times where whenever you're looking at that 8-minute, that 5-minute 8 EMA, if you slam in right at that, whatever that level is, on a pivot, there's so many times when it bounces off that, immediately, yeah, it comes back and kind of we'll get close to it again, but it's so much easier to manage your position whenever you're not in the red. When you're in the red, I at least it's something that fear and stuff will creep in, or whatever it is, it's just natural that it's going to be there more. So one thing I really want to do is look at levels and slam in on those and be more confident, because we know that these 5-minute setups work. We know that if there's a low VPA pullback onto a level, a pretty big percentage of the time they go right, everything looks good. And so it's I really want to harp on myself and just the mindset of okay, I'm waiting for that pullback to whatever level it is, and entering in there, and being patient, and I think then moving forward you can manage your trade a lot easier, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah, because this would be clear risk. And another thing to kind of touch base on is you mentioned the pre-market high here, but also in intraday, you could see right here, it was this pivot over here as well. And then right over here, when we broke below it, you could kind of see we struggled to, get back over it and hold by these upper wicks. Same thing in the after hours. And so, yeah, I think you made a really great point there. And like you said, we know the 5-minute flags work. We know if they have the right VPA, they'll work. So it all comes down to, trusting the edge in the long run and knowing that, hey, if it fails now, then it might work on the next trade. And then for you, Jixer Man, when you're trying to get in a 5-minute flag here off a pivot, like this would be a good time to, watch the level 2 as it's coming into the pivot to see if bidders are willing to step up. Because if you're coming into the pivot and you still see the ask stacking and, sellers walking in over here, then you might want to give it a second to see if those bidders show up. Because if there's no other buyers and you're the only buyer, it's not really a high probability setup. But in this case, obviously there were bidders, because you could see these 5-minute wicks to the downside towards the pivot, and then you could see, the sharp rise in price. So there was obviously buyers waiting off of this pivot. They got long in their position, and they actually got the move that they wanted. And then obviously sellers, because you could see the big upper wick. So there's many ways to kind of judge between, where the sellers, where the buyers are. But if you're using level 2, it would, basically be like that. When you're coming into a pivot, look for bidders. When you're coming up to resistance, look to, see the bidders start chipping at the ask so you can push higher, or look for the ask to start pushing the bid down, and that will indicate a price, decline in the future. I don't know if you can change it to certain sizes, but so on TD, like whenever like I, put my setup up, whatever time in sales you open, like whatever one is there, like that's the one I use. I've never really went into the settings of it and kind of adjusted it. Let me see right now.
You can, I think you can change it to like above 100 shares or above 5, like whatever I think you can do that, man.
Oh, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really messed with it. So I just like, on the right side how they have like times and sales and stuff. Whatever like one is, I guess, preset, that's the one I use. It, it does me good. So I never really found a reason to go in and try to edit it. But yeah, thanks for letting me know. I'll look at that later. But
yeah, I leave mine to look at all of them too. It does get a little bit harder because it's harder to see the big orders.
I can get that, yeah, but I guess one of the reasons why, like, even now that I know I could customize it, I probably wouldn't, and that's because usually when an algo is on a stock, it's going to be slapping it 100 shares at a time. So, like, you ever see a stock and you just have 100 over and over and over, that's usually a good sign that it's an algo. And so I feel like, if you adjust it to maybe only 1,000 shares or only 500, you may miss that, you may miss that algo that's coming into that stock. So that's just something to note.
Yeah. Which, speaking of algos, yeah, I definitely want to write some algos at some point. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So.
When I get rich enough, I'll create some algos that can trade for me. They'll look for 5-minute flags and they'll execute on them for me.
Honestly, I was thinking about it, and I was like, because I have a engineering background too, where
nice.
I kind of learned coding and stuff to a certain extent. But the biggest thing I struggle with is exiting, right? Like I can enter pretty well most of the time. So like if I just made an algo that just I'll fucking enter for it, and then it just essentially sells whenever it meets or whenever certain criteria break,
Yeah.
It would be hard to do, and I've definitely thought about it. But I wanna like first obviously become where I can do it all myself and understand it more and more. But I do want to try that at some point. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, I have a few algos. I'll show you them real quick. I think it's, do I have Lux Algo? Yeah, here we go. So Lux Algo is one of them. Right here. Yeah, okay, so let me turn VWAP off. And you can kind of see it like, I guess that really isn't a good one.
What does it do?
It's like buy and sell signals. I forgot which one I exactly used, but like if, for example, if you have a trading view, you can go and, damn, I forgot which one it was that I actually used. Because this is my buddy's trading view, and he actually trades off of algo. So he has something like this, and I think it's this one. I don't know how he uses this stuff, but I don't know. He finds it like helpful. But anyways, if you just put like buy and sell, you can see like right here, for example, they have a lot of them. And so normally they're more accurate on a bigger time frame. So if we go to the 10-minute or something, you can see like a buy signal came in yesterday for PHPS at 243. and then a sell signal came in at, you know, $9 all the way up here. And then there was another buy signal right here at like 980s, and you know, price rose to 1180s. Let's see on a smaller time frame. Yeah, so right over here, put in a buy signal 440, put in a sell signal at $10. So that would have been wild. But if you get TradingView, there's a lot of different, you know, algos that you can use that are preset. But I know my
Yeah.
buddy had paid for one. I just don't know. It must be one of these. Oh yeah, this has to be it right here, the premium one.
Oh yeah, it's a strong.
Yup,
Yeah.
this would be it for sure. Why isn't it showing any buy signals for today though? Oh, here we go. So yeah, I guess strong would be buy down here, and then sell would be up here. So you would have got long 430s, sold $8, and let's say you got long again off the strong signal 733. Then it would have put in a sell signal all the way up here at 1088. Another one right here at 10, and then, you know, I guess you would have got stopped out. Same thing over here. So it kind of works on bigger time frames.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Cool.
something you could look into.
Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, PHVS was this one was wild. Um, this one was really, really, really wild. I remember looking at
Yeah.
this pivot and I was like, damn, I should get long off this pivot. You know, at the time it was a nice kind of 5 minute flag. You can see over
Yeah.
here. But the volume really wasn't the highest right here. I guess you could say anomaly. But you know, overall it worked. But I think I played it pretty
Yeah.
well. Caught a nice gain off of it, so I'm not complaining.
The big news is there's a lot more momentum out there, which is awesome.
Exactly. It's
Not just about execution.
yeah, it's and the momentum is not focused on like one to two names. Like today it was spread out around like three, four, maybe five names.
Yeah.
Like I know
Yeah.
Mikey was on Bivy, and this
Yeah.
one
We've had a
put
lot
in
of things been running. We had a Summit. We've had
yeah.
Renaz. We've had today was PR whatever PRV whatever.
Also
Uh,
Carvana, CVNA. I
yeah.
know Liz was on this one.
Yeah. I scalped that
Yeah.
later on. Yeah.
I honestly, when I seen this 480 break, I was looking for like a 5 minute flag into this level, but you know, obviously it didn't happen. I know there was EXPR as well. Nice moves over here. I was gonna play this 5 minute flag here, but I don't know. I didn't feel very confident in it, so I didn't. But yeah, there's more momentum coming in, and it's a good sign for longs, you know.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah,
Which is good. Yeah. It's more the flags are working out. The 5 minute flags are having more follow through, which is awesome.
exactly.
And now I can really focus on letting things run too. I think before too, I really wasn't focusing on that because the market was pretty weak, so I was more focused on scalping, and also just to kind of get back into, stringing some green days together. Um, and so, but now I'm getting more and more confidence again, which feels good.
Yeah,
So now it's
it's
just about executing and holding longer and
yeah.
just staying
Also,
patient.
like you said earlier, you know, we know the edge works, and we just gotta every time whenever we see the edge, we just gotta take it.
Yep.
And either it gives us a small move, it gives us a big move, or it gives us a loss. But we know at the end of the day the edge works, and we just have to be consistent with it. We
Yep.
just have to
And
keep
if you take a
slamming it.
loss, just keep it fairly small, and
Exactly.
one win can make up for like 2 or 3 losses. So
I'll tell you one thing that I do with 5 minute flags. For example, we'll use rent. I'm sure you know there was a 5 minute flag on this one. So for example, like on these 5 minute flags, whenever you get long, normally we like to buy the pivot, right? We don't like to buy the breakout. We don't like to buy the first five making the new high. In this case, it would have worked if you know you waited for the first five to get over 22.22. It would have worked right here. But something that I do is like once we get long against the pivot, right? If you see that first five push up, make that new high over 222s, and then flush, like as soon as you know it goes over there, you see the ask start to stack, and then the candle flips from green red to, you know, putting that upper wick in and then starting to come down kind of like this. Whenever you see that, that's kind of a good signal telling you like, okay, first five made a new high. but this is like it's looking more like a failed 5 minute flag, and that can sometimes get you out break even or a really really small loss or like literally no loss at all. So that's something I really look for. Like most of the times for me when I'm entering these 5 minute flags or these 10 minute flags, I'm like majority of my focus is in the flag setup, because once we break out and once we make new highs and actually get follow through, it's literally just managing after that and making sure you know your levels are holding, etc. But majority of my focus is in the flag and making sure we actually get that break and making sure that break is not going to fake out, because like if you made the the new high right here, let's say 225s over 222, and then you start flushing, that would be a good signal for you to exit. That would be a good signal saying, hey, there's a lot of weakness, there's still a lot of sellers here, this might be a failed 5 minute flag breakout.
Yeah, good point for sure.
Yes sir. But yeah, I mean, with that being said, those are all my trades on the day. So if no one else has any other questions or anything, we can wrap it up here. North, I muted you because there was a lot of mic noise coming out of your microphone. So if you have any questions, go for it. Thanks, Jixer man.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Do you have any questions or anything?
No, I don't really have any questions. Sorry about that. I looked at my mic I thought it was muted, so I apologize for that.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. I just muted it myself. Just I thought you didn't know or something, or maybe you're new to Discord and you didn't know how to mute.
Yeah, I think that happened to me before with you, so I apologize. But
no problem.
I just wanted to add what you were talking about earlier when I first joined on today is about keeping a smaller portion at the end or before you, like selling into strength, of course, and then keeping a small bit after. And I did that today for two of my trades and for BIVI as well as PHVS, and both of those gave me over $1 a share.
Nice, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Nice, yeah. So over time, once you do that over and over and over, it'll slowly, build the confidence and, give you that confidence to hold, your desired position size for that, next leg.
Yeah, like BIVI, I got into it a couple times. And one time maybe it was a 10-cent loss, and then but the one time, like we were saying, is that a one time makes up for so many others. So
exactly,
it was only 20 shares, mind you, but 20 shares at $1 made up for those losses.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all about getting the process down and getting comfortable and becoming confident, and then you can start sizing up later.
Yeah, exactly. That's my feeling with learning these flags even more. It's just getting a couple pennies or even 5-10 cents peel, and then actually what I've been doing is doing like a 3% trailing stop. I know that's not a lot, but 3%, and then if it seems like it's dead, then I'll adjust that to maybe 2%, and that's how I got some big pops out of those, because right after that they just failed, right?
Yeah, I know the trailing stops are really, really useful. I've never used one personally, but I know that's a really, really good way of staying in a position. I'll show you another way how, like, I used to use TradingView to kind of stay in positions, and I'll show you what I used to do. So I used to use the Ripster clouds. I don't really use them anymore, but I'll go ahead and show you what I used to do. So I used to go to like a 10-minute. And as long as price is just holding this green cloud, it would be like a good long to me. So I like, you find an entry obviously off support or something. But as long as the 10-minute was riding this green cloud, it would have been a great position. So like if you see this right here, this test of the green cloud over here would have been like $3.96, $4. And then the time we actually broke the cloud would have been right over here at $9.30. So that's already over 100% gain. But that's one of the ways I used to stay in a position. So like, let's take a look at rent on the Ripster clouds.
Are you saying the dark green, if it fails a dark green, a close, like a candle close under that, would be time to get out, or would you get out anyway, just when it hits it?
For me, it would really be like, so I'll give it a quick second. So like, for example, right here on rent, we have this 206 daily pivot. So we know there's a daily pivot, so we would have our 206 marked, and then let me make that. Oh, shoot, that's an alert. Let me draw a line there. Draw a horizontal line. We'll make it, bigger. I guess We'll make it in black so we can see it. So like we know we have this 206 pivot. So I'll just look for the pivot, and like obviously this was a quick slurp, but normally what you'll look for is something like this. So you see how we I want to make it bigger so you guys could see it well. So you see how we break through the cloud, pull up, confirm the cloud as resistance right over here. This would have been, you know, my signal to, you know, exit. If we're putting in wicks, that's not really a big deal to me, but realistically, if you got long on the first test of the cloud, so it would have been somewhere right here, you could see where the wicks were testing the clouds. It would have been 178, and then where you would have possibly been exiting is 206. That really wouldn't, you know, be very, you know, bad with me. So, you know, you could cut here. But like if you're only 10 cents away from your average and, you know, you're testing the clouds like right here, you know, there's no reason to exit.
Yeah.
But normally I'd wait for a close below the clouds. You can see this candle clearly closed below the clouds. And then, you know, tried pushing up and failing. So this would have been a sell signal to me.
Yeah, just to add to that, I signed up for an options kind of flow system, and they have some proprietary, I guess, indicators on TradingView, and it's like a momentum indicator, and I find it's been pretty good, because that's what, like all traders, you know, sometimes you sell too soon.
Yeah.
Instead of holding a kicker, and so I've been trying to use that one a bit more. Is just when the momentum dies, and that's maybe a time to exit. And sometimes you can see that by view, but sometimes you want that confirmation. But sometimes you just pull the trigger, you're too trigger happy. So I've been trying to use that momentum indicator. So when it goes from green to red, then say, okay, well now I can sell. But if it never goes red, I'll stay in a position, even if it looks like it's stalled there, but it never actually really stalled.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. But that's good. I'll try to. I've heard of the clouds before, the Ripster clouds. I don't think I've used them because I just signed up for TradingView recently, so I'll try that.
Oh yeah, definitely. You should try. Like here's another example on Bivy. You can see we come down, test the clouds, we hold, and then we we push up. This could also be a low risk entry for you. So you get in, you risk off of 770, 765 area, but ultimately it would have curled up and gave you over $1 per share into 980s. So
yeah. That's where I did the 3% trailing on the kicker, as I said, and as soon as that large upper wick, and that's what stopped me out, just pretty close to that 965.
Yeah, they also have the Ripster clouds on TD too. So if you're watching this and you're on TD Ameritrade, you can also see nice 10-minute hold on the Ripster clouds. We'll go to PHVS. You could see same thing, nice test, hold, push up, and then finally breaks it over here. So that would have been from like $5 all the way into 940. So really helpful.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Just to go back 1 second, I won't keep you here, but you mentioned I kind of missed what it was because I'm looking on my phone right now and not at my PC. But you mentioned about the algo trend lines, I guess, algo buy sell signal on TradingView. What was that called again?
It was Lux Algo. So I'll actually draw it, or I'll write it out for you here in the study chat. It's LUXE Algo.
Okay, just to have a look.
Of course, yeah. They have I believe they have a paid version and a free version. I believe my buddy, has the paid version, and that's what he uses personally for his trades.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. I guess we'll wrap it up here. I appreciate everyone joining, and hopefully we'll come on tomorrow at 4 p.m. again for tomorrow's recap. That being said, everyone have a good evening, and we will catch you all tomorrow.